And we are live. Welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber, back at you with an amazing guest. I'm honored to have him on the show. He's a good friend of me. He's one of the most righteous and just fire MCs out here in the 808. Bless. Talk to him. How you feeling?
What's up, man? I'm chilling, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Kasanova, man. I appreciate you, man. And I love what you're doing. I love what you're all about. Thank you so much.
Man, it's an honor having you on, man. Go ahead, introduce yourself, man. Put your plugs in, for your business, your social media. Let people know where they can find you.
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at _liquid_therapy_. That's my business. Or you can find my personal page _LuckyIto_. You can find my website at www.liquidtherapymedia.com. And you can also find me on Facebook. Search Liquid Therapy Media LLC.
All right. That's what's up, man. And go ahead and give people a brief background on yourself, man. I know you're one of the hottest MCs out here, and you definitely got a booming business, man. Talk to us, man.
Yeah. I started out as an MC over here in Hawaii. Back in '98, I released an album, a compilation with Snoop Dogg, Lord Tariq, Peter Guns, Mac Dre before he passed away in 2003. We all came together and released this album. I got arrested about '99, went to prison, came out, released another album, but then it was on a different swag because after you get arrested, that kind of changes your mindset about what you talk about. So I was more about uplifting and, just different. It was, less thugging, more uplifting, more hope and everything. And then after that, I became one of Hawaii's most sought after MCs. Released a music video with my sister Marianne Ito, who's doing some great things in Paris, Europe. I'm proud of her. New Zealand, Nahu Kahanahana Award winner. She won an award, a Vodafone Award back in New Zealand. So she's doing some amazing things. And after that, I just shut down my. I stopped being an MC for a little bit to open up my company, 2 music videos on MTV. Work with a lot of artists under T.I.'s label, E40, Keep the Sneak, and then I, when I got married, the nature of filming music videos was something I couldn't get involved in. So we started shooting weddings. Now I run a 5-star media company in Hawaii, and we've been going hard for 3 years now. And that's it right there.
Man, that is what's up, bro.
Yo, I put all that in a nutshell. That's crazy.
Man, that's like I got nothing else. This podcast is fire. We got blessed up in here. Man, hey. You are blessed.
Hey, man, I'm trying.
Man, what you gotta tell me, man, what's it like being a business owner? Like, what are some of the challenges and what kind of advice could you give the audience who may be wanting to start their own business?
The best advice I could give to everybody or anybody who wants to start their business is to not think about it. Don't think about it. Don't give it too much thought because our nature, a lot of the times when we're not coached or we come from a broken down family, our nature, our own nature is to just talk ourselves out of opportunities. Mm-hmm. So that's why you need to not think about it and just do it. A lot of folks think that you have to accumulate money to do it. You don't. All you have to do is LLC yourself, get that tax license. And once you do that, you just go hard. Of course, in the beginning, you're going to be hustling to build your name, to build your brand. But once you hustle and you position yourself from there, it's all about aligning. Hustling is cool, but then aligning is way more important than hustling. Mm-hmm. Way more important than hustling. If you don't align yourself, you're going to hustle until you die. So right now, my company is in an alignment position. And that's just don't think about it. Just do it. Just do it.
That's what's up, man. It definitely is just speaking to the audience, man. You're definitely speaking to me. I know we were talking before we went live. And that's man, thank you for that advice, man. I gotta ask you also, what made you decide to refuse the Democratic mindset, also known as #LeftTheLeft? And do you think the Republican mindset or the independent mindset is better?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I the I can't say the Republican mindset is better than the Democratic mindset. Well, I could say yes. The Republican mindset is way better than a Democratic mindset. But the thing is that traditional Republicans, that there's like a way of thinking. It can actually trap them in a way to where a lot of the Republicans will get sick of. A lot of the new Republicans today are sick of the old Republicans because of their one-minded thinking. You know, and people like us who have that conservative mindset, but yet we're still very creative and we're still open-minded. That's what a lot of the Republicans from back in the day don't have. They don't have that open-mindedness. You know, they don't have that the ability to think out of the box because of how they were conditioned. And I give them props. They're dope. You know, I'm glad that they stayed obedient to what they were taught, you know, because that's what kept us in line. But on the same note, though, the world changes. But then, yeah, I can't be a Democrat anymore, man. I can't do that no more. It's mind control. That's what it is. It's mind control.
Yeah, and you know, especially being out here like in Hawaii, you know, you see the leftist ideology and just the mindset of being liberal. It's everywhere out here, and it's to a point where if you say, I know it's bad in some areas in the mainland, but if you say anything remotely right wing out here, it's, you know.
Yeah,
you get the eyebrows being raised and people trying to figure out like how they can dox you and whatnot.
Yeah, they're gonna hang you. They're gonna hang you. I mean, one thing I noticed about a lot of Democrats, a lot of the Dems, man, they're very analytical about what you say. Like they're analyzing everything you say and how you say it. And I don't blame them. I mean that's just the way they were raised. You know, it's like they're not trying to find something. It's just that that's part of their nature. You know, for example, when you call an African American person black, you know, call him black. If he's black, call him black. Yeah. That's cool. You know, I'm gonna call him black. He's cool with it. But then that alone right there offends them, and it, like they analyze that and they see it as something offensive, and that's weak. That's hella weak. You know what I mean? I mean, that can definitely bring, and that's one thing with a lot of dams, man. They're very offensive. Not offensive, but they take offense to everything. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's like for people that call themselves, you know, so tolerant and so open-minded, they're not. Like I see, you know, and I'm trying to tread some real middle ground here and not offend folks, but fuck it. If it happens, it happens. You know, when I talk to or deal with a lot of liberals, they can be cool as hell. The minute you say something that triggers them, man. And it's like there's no in between. You're 0 to 100 like that. It's scary, and I'm noticing it's like a lot of people, you know, that I know personally, some I work with, you know, some of the people that are in like especially in the entertainment industry.
Right.
I'm like, wow, because I look at it and I'm like, I do not remember from like Bush Senior to Bush Junior, people really caring about politics as much as they are now. Even like when Obama, the whole thing with Obama, people just cared he's black. We're gonna vote him in. They got 8 years of Obama. They didn't care about none of the policies. They didn't care about none of the stuff he's doing. But the minute Trump starts running, and it's just funny how like people just flipped on him like that. And it's like he's racist. He's this. He did this. I'm like, okay, what did he say? Oh, I saw this clip on CNN and it said this. I'm like, but they took it out of context.
Right.
You know, it's like, But you can't tell a liberal that. They don't care. Their minds are just closed off.
Yeah.
To anything positive. So I mean, not anything positive, but
it's very closed off. I mean, you know what's so funny though is that 8 years ago, let's say 9 years ago, back in the Bush days, the Bush era, a lot of the folks who matter today, back in the Bush era, we were just 19, 18, 20 years old. So we wasn't really thinking about politics until Obama came along. And when Obama came along, I'm not going to lie, I voted for Obama because he was black. I wanted a black president. Yeah. And even though my beliefs leaned more towards Republican, I still wanted a black president based off of the bombings of the building, you know what I mean? Based off of America invading Iraq, not finding any massive weapons of destruction. You know, we didn't find anything over there. So based on the lie, I felt like President Bush and the Bush family were building, I totally went Democrat. I mean, I wasn't even a Republican then. I didn't even really care about being a Republican or a Democrat. But when Obama jumped on, I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm a Democrat now. You know, he's a black man, totally opposite from what Bush is. He sound, because I wasn't trying to vote for the other dude. What's his name again?
Was it
he had Sarah Palin.
Was it Cheney?
Not Cheney. He had Sarah Palin as the vice president. He just passed away.
McCain.
McCain. I wasn't trying to vote for McCain. I mean, that was a straight up lie right there. Like what McCain and Sarah Palin did, and how the Republican Party tried to paint that as the new hope. I wasn't trying to go for that, you know. And a lot of the folks at my church, they was like, vote Republican, and I was like, vote Republican. First and foremost, Republicans just raided Iraq. You know, we didn't find nothing. And now Republicans are trying to bring in this woman in Sarah Palin who don't know nothing about what's going down or nothing about the position. And if she does know something, she doesn't know enough to hold on to that vice president position. So I straight went Obama. And so through the Obama years, that whole 8 years, our generation, we're starting to grow up. We're hitting our 30s. You know what I'm saying? So now our position in society really matters than how it was 8 years, 9 years ago. Back then, we was just coming up. Back then, we was just young adults. But now, in between the transition of Obama and Trump, we full-blown grown-ups. Like, we buying houses. We buying cars. We starting businesses now. And that's why politics is huge now. You know what I'm saying? It's huge now based on where we're at and how we were introduced to it 9 years ago with Obama's presidency.
Yeah, man, that's so true, man. It's, you know, and one of the things too, man, like I constantly see this, like, and I want to get your take on basically fake news, because the term's been popularized by Trump for the last 2.5, 3 years. And it's like, it seems like every time you cut on the news, if it's CNN, I mean, you can throw Fox News in there too, but CNN, MSNBC, ABC News, it's always negative. And I see people that they'll just see a clip of something and it's a negative thing about Trump, about Republicans, about, whatever, and they get triggered. And I'm like, why are you mad? Oh, look what he did. Look what this was said. Look at this. I'm like, where'd you get this? Oh, I saw it on the news. Did you dig deeper into it? It's like news, and I said this to Amazing Lucas before, I asked him this, and we both jointly said this, but when it comes to news, the public it seems like they don't understand the fact that it's all about ratings. And they do a lot of shock value stuff to get people to watch or go there. It's like, it's just marketing. Like, look at the whole thing that Times covered with Trump and the little girl, and then they had to retract that. It doesn't matter that they were wrong. It got people saying something.
Yeah, and they knew they were wrong, And when they were wrong, they didn't even try to go back to tell people they were wrong. They just made it disappear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no, you have to say you're wrong too. Like, you have to make it disappear, and then you have to tell people I'm wrong. You know what I mean? So that the folks know that you were wrong.
Yeah, and they're just, I mean, they don't care to. It's like, this is gonna lead into my next question. Like the whole thing with Kanye West, man. Like this.
Yay.
Oh man, this has been insane. Like, okay, so Kanye West, in my opinion, I feel like he's broken free of the liberal programming, and the left are willing to do anything to destroy him, especially like with Don Lemon of all people calling him a token Negro, and others saying this is what happens when a Negro can't read. Like, what do you make of this? Like, how do people think that this isn't racism that they're doing?
Exactly. It's you know what it is. You know what's so funny is I'm gonna go ahead and talk about something. I'm gonna talk about white privilege.
All right.
And I believe white privilege does exist, but white privilege only exists in the democratic mind state. That's where it exists. It doesn't exist with our mind state. It doesn't exist with the Republicans. It only exists in the democratic mind state. So what happens? So a lot of the now white privilege, I'm not talking about skin color. I'm talking about a way of life. I'm talking about the higher uppers who are pushing this agenda. And I truly believe that what they did is they pushed this white privilege belief, or this white privilege way of thinking, into the black mind state, into the black mind, to where, not the black mind, but then into black people, to where their thinking becomes based off of white privilege thinking, to where they feel like they have the upper hand to call another black man a coon. You know what I'm saying? So now, because you're part of this party, whether you know it or not, now you positioned yourself to be in this place of of having white privilege. That gives you the right to call this man a token Negro or a coon, And it's so funny. I even asked the black man one day, like, what's worse? Like a white person can't call a black person the N-word, but then would you be okay if a white person called the black person a coon? Would you be okay with that? Since you're calling him a coon, can he call him a coon too? Like what's the line? You know what I'm saying? What's the line? And I truly believe white privilege does exist, but it only exists in the democratic mind state, who is people who are victimized or who are victims of white privilege, people like Don Lemon, who think that they have the privilege to call a black man a coon or a black man a token Negro. That's messed up. That is white privilege. That's white privilege. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me that's not white privilege. White privilege exists not in skin color, but in the democratic mind state. It's crazy.
I mean, then the way that they took it so much further, like with Don Lemon saying like Yeezy's mom was rolling in her grave, and I'm like,
my gosh,
yo,
yeah, that was disrespectful. Like, what gives you what makes you think you have the privilege? What makes you think you have the privilege to say that? What makes you think? Okay, it has. And now that's the epitome of white privilege. You know what I'm saying? It's not a person gets a job because they're white, or a person doesn't get shot at by the cops because they're white. That's not white privilege. White privilege is when you think you have the right to call a black man or someone who is not of your party something lower. That's white privilege. That's the epitome of white privilege. I live that to the fullest. Yeah. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I kind of want to, I want to dig a little bit deeper into this. Like this whole, like I've noticed, especially on social media, and you've been dropping some nuggets of truth, little by little by little. And I'm over here. I've been peeped to the game what you've been doing for a minute. I'm like, I see you. I see what you're doing. And I'm seeing people comment, they don't even know what you're doing. I'm like, okay. You know, and I wanted to ask, you know, would you mind giving us a background on what brought you to this mindset? Because it's like I've been seeing it for a while, brother.
Mm-hmm. The thing is that one thing about a liberal is you can't speak to a liberal in a Republican language. They speak a totally different language. Even though it's English, they still speak a totally different language. And that's the language that you have to speak in. You have to speak in their language. I actually got it from a story back when Moses was taken out of Egypt. And even though Moses was taken out of Egypt to free his people, he still knew how to speak Egyptian. Other than speaking Hebrew, he still knew how to speak Egyptian. Now, for me, as someone who was taken out of Egypt representing the liberal mind state, Egypt representing everything that is wrong with the world. You know what I mean? Even though I was taken out of this place called Egypt, I still have to go back and speak Egyptian because I speak a totally different language now. When I speak to my brothers who share the same belief, we understand each other. But when I go back, I have to speak their language. Yeah, and I can't really be too blunt about it because they're gonna shut me off. My goal is to open up their mind, open up their mind. That's what it is because it's been so closed, and that's why I have to throw the nuggets the way I throw the nuggets. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that once again, that's why I have to attack it through hip hop because a lot of these cats, they respect me as an MC, and I have to get back into that character that they respect in order for me to hit them. You know what I mean? So
yeah. You know, and you know, I've gotten to that point too. Like a lot of people, like I kind of do this, like, and a lot of people have been questioning like why I don't really post a lot of personal stuff on my social media. Like I went from before, you know, I had pictures of my wife and I together, my family and whatnot, to I just started to at a certain point where I just started to just post about what I'm doing on my podcast and my fitness. And a lot of people are like, why is that? Like, how come you're not talking about your personal beliefs or like your political or religious? And I'm like, there's a reason for that. Because, you know, like being on, especially on social media, a lot of it's, well, mainly all of it's left leaning. And when I deal with a lot of liberal folks, I'm over here like, I kind of, you know, if they get a hint of me being right, you know, right leaning or anything like that, they're going to, like I had a situation earlier this year where, you know, I had another YouTuber find out I was right leaning and then had folks sending messages to my wife and I and, you know, other family. And I'm like, nah, once that happened, I'm like, separation. Like you don't get none. Wow. You don't get none personal out of me. And it's like a lot of people that are super left leaning will they'll take it to that point, you know? And it's frustrating because I know like sometimes it irritates my wife. Sometimes it irritates, you know, other family members that I don't post personal stuff, but I'm like, because I'm in the public eye, I have to keep some stuff off the internet, you know?
Right.
So.
No, I feel you, man. I feel you. When you mean post, are you talking about posting what you believe or
yeah, like if I were to and I've hinted at it, but I've never directly came out and say, hey, I like Trump, I support Trump, you know, or I voted for Trump. I can't do that because you know, it could be people I work with, it could be people that you know, I may be super cool with, and they just don't understand that side of me. It's just going to be an attack, you know. And so now that I've seen how far some left-leaning people will take it, I'm like, no, I'll be neutral. Like a lot of people, if they watch the podcast, they know, okay, he's leaning to the right. But if you're watching the other stuff I'm doing, or if you see my workout videos or pictures or whatnot, you're not going to know what direction I lean. And I keep it intentionally like incognito for that reason.
It's very similar to You know what's so funny though is I know what you mean, because it's the brand that
Mm-hmm.
we have. It's the brand, and the reason why we're not trying to go hardcore like our friends do, because you know you
Mm-hmm.
have some friends who just go straight up. They just
Right.
full blown Trump out. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
yo, you just don't care. I mean, I love Trump too. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not like, like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? I'm more about the ideas rather than the actual person. And I dig Trump, and I think another reason why I don't go full blown, right,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm engaging with people on social media, or even in today when I was at this camera store, and they were asking me questions like, "Lucky, you gonna be on the podcast tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah," and they was like, "Man, what are you gonna be talking about?" And I was like, "Did you see the sign? Did you see that little flower I made?" They was like, "Yeah," but then they wanted to hear it from me, right? But
Yeah.
see, I can't drop it on them, and I can't just drop it on these cats, because I'm not too. The person who was talking to me, I could tell he was right winger, but then
Mm-hmm.
I could tell he was a right winger. But then everyone surrounding him were all liberals, and they were just like looking at me, waiting for me to drop it. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, my boy Casanova, we're gonna be on the podcast, and we're just gonna talk about ideas. And there was like,
Yeah.
okay, I hit him up. I let him know, and I'm one of the number one customers over there. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to hold that up, and I told him, being that now that I own a 5-star company, from being an MC, one of Hawaii's most demanded MCs, to being an owner of a 5-star company. Now folks want to hear what people of this position have to say about policies. And there was like, okay, they're waiting for me to drop the Trump. They were waiting for me to drop the Trump. But I was like, so we're gonna talk about policies. We're gonna talk about ideas, and where America is heading today. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And there was like, and they was just asking me questions, trying to egg me on. But I was like, I'm not gonna let y'all win. I'm not gonna let y'all win. I need you guys to dig. If you guys want to know for real, I need y'all
Yeah.
to tune in. I need y'all to
Yeah.
tune in. I'm not just gonna give it to you like that, because I'm gonna shut you down. Instead, I need you to shut yourself down.
Yeah.
I need you to take a look at what's going on with me. Take a look at the folks I'm dealing with, and I need you to make that decision. I'm not going to decide for you whether you want to and just shut it down. I need you to look, and then you have the option. Do you want to shut it down, or you want to keep going? You want to keep going? Let's go then. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
That's
mean,
it.
especially like with us, and the type of like, with business, with our businesses, when we're interacting with people, we have to keep that veil of mystery going because, like, for me, I interview a lot of voice actors, and I've got another big one, the guy who voiced Spider-Man in the new Spider-Man game. That's probably
Nice.
going to be like one of my biggest guests I've ever had, and it's like every voice actor I talk to is super left.
Right.
And I have to keep it under wraps. Like, I don't agree with what you think, but I'm not gonna check you because of what I'm trying to do, you know?
Right.
And it's like some of them, like, I hear the things that they say, and I'm like, do you hear yourself? Like how like insane that sounds, and it's like they don't get it. Like they'll say anything like, "Oh, F Trump, he needs to do this. We need to vote them all out." And it's like they don't realize, or maybe they do, and they're part of it. But I feel like a lot of these celebrities are being used to just brainwash the masses. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you're constantly being told on CNN or any news outlet by like Don Lemon and whatnot, and you're constantly seeing people you look up to, your actors, your voice actors, your music people
Mm-hmm.
that are telling you what you need to believe, what you need to vote for, what you need to do. Where is your choice? You're getting indoctrinated hearing this all the time,
Mm-hmm.
seeing it everywhere. So free thought, and that's why I really feel like, free thought, the First Amendment, freedom of speech and expression, it's coming under attack, man. The
Oh
left,
yeah.
they don't want you to think free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They don't. They just like you said, they want to indoctrinate all of us, man. They want So my hypothesis on this, you know what I'm saying, is that the government, or there's a particular society, or let's just say the how can I say, the people who are just above things of teaching people, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're actually just conditioning the next generation. I believe they're conditioning the '90s up generation,
Yeah.
To have this certain way of thinking, and to where, let's say in 2020 or 2030, they'll have a society that's just so close into thinking like each other, that they'll have these voters
Yeah.
already locked in, because they already locked in their mind. You know what I mean? And man, it's crazy. I saw this post not too long ago, and it says something along the lines of, the reason why the Democrats are bringing in are bringing in illegals, or they're trying to take off the rules of immigration, is because they want to fill the jobs that the black people don't want anymore. Like, for example,
Mm-hmm.
the whole working in the fields. And now that black people are starting to come up to where now we're becoming, sorry, I'm part black myself. So when I affiliate with black people, I also think about myself. So
Mm-hmm.
when now we're becoming presidents of the United States, the democratic mind state has to bring in the new black people,
Yeah.
which is immigration. Now we need, now that the people who, it's kind of like the Samoans. Now that we're moving out of KPT and moving into like
Mm-hmm.
these higher homes, now we got to move into Micronesians. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
It's like, yo, hold on now, y'all messing up, y'all ruining, y'all just repeating everything, you know, and that brings up something else I want to talk about: the
Go for it,
statues,
man.
and just talking about the statues, and tearing down these statues, Robert E. Lee, and all these statues that represent something negative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a bad idea, man. And I truly believe the reason why the Democrats want to tear down that statue, yes, that's true. It does represent something that was evil in the past. But when you tear down your mistakes, when you erase your mistakes, you're going to repeat your mistakes again. So
Yeah.
let's say today they tear down a statue of Robert E. Lee, because that statue represents the Union, who were for slavery, right? Or let's
Mm-hmm.
say they tear down these statues, this one statue that represents slavery. They tear it down. They erase Robert E. Lee from the textbooks. They erase Robert E. Lee from the landscapes. To where, let's say 40 to 50 years from now, the new Democratic Party won't even know who Robert E. Lee is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To where that's a good way of erasing your mistakes. Like, that's a good way of of just saying y'all never did it before. Like slavery, no, we've never done that. That's not my party. Proof, because there's no proof. Like, you guys are erasing the proof of everything that y'all did. That's why
Mm-hmm.
it's good to have these statues up, so that these folks know, man, I won't return to that again. You know what I'm saying? I won't
Yeah.
return to that, man. But if you erase it, man, dude, that's, you can't, like, you can't do that. Like, it's kind of like that scar on your face. It's like that scar reminds you not to go to that club again, or you're gonna get beat up. You know what I mean? But if
Mm-hmm.
just can't erase those statues. I know it's something bad. I know folks don't agree with it, but you can't erase it because it stands. That's like the point. You can't go back. Straight up, you can't go back.
And to piggyback off of what you just said, man, you just look at how the people that are in power, or you can say the Democrats, the liberals that have been in power, they're just really they really are trying to rewrite history.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole, like, I'm seeing it in in video, because I'm deep in video games. I'm seeing it in video games. I'm seeing it in the kids' cartoons. I'm
Right.
seeing it all over in the music. Like for instance, there's the Battlefield 5, which is coming out later on this month. Their whole marketing campaign was female soldiers in World War II, which in reality there never was. But if you get young kids, this young generation coming up, they're seeing it in games, and this becomes more socially acceptable, where we're just going to see it in games and TV shows. We're effectively rewriting the history where you're going to have the next generation in power not going to even know. I mean, they're already rewriting, with the whole thing where you've got people growing up thinking that the party switched, and they never did. They're thinking, yeah, and they're thinking that slavery was started by the Republicans when that was started by the Democrats, as was the KKK, as well as the Welfare Act. All this stuff was started by liberals and Democrats. But you got a generation be like, okay, I grew up in South Memphis, super utter ghetto to hell neighborhood. And all I was taught, being brought up was how, you don't, because you're black or whatever, you're dark, you're damn near black. You might as well vote for Democrats because they're the only ones that care for people of color. I'm like, what about the other party? You don't need to know nothing about it. But why can't, just tell me, why shouldn't I? You don't need to know. And then come to find out, the reason I'm told I don't need to know is because my parents didn't know. People around didn't know. They were just, it was programming, in my opinion, just by generation, just being taught this. Being told this is what you need to do this because of that. And very few people became like you and I, like free thinkers, where we're like, all right, what's the other side of what I know? And I'm just seeing generations, they're just coming up and they don't know anything outside. And it's amazing given that we're in this digital age and you can just pick up a phone and everything you need to know is right here. But people aren't even told to critically think.
No, they can't. You can't even have nowadays in school. You can't even have an objection. You know what I mean? Like you can't have that because it well, that's what they were talking about on the news today. And that one thing about me too is that I don't really listen to mainstream news, even Fox. I dig the fact that Fox is for Trump and everything, but even I put them, on the watch out what they might say list and everything. And but then when they were talking about, they were interviewing someone who I watch a lot on Instagram. I forgot his name, but they're talking about schools. Schools won't let the students have an objective mindset to where they would disagree with something or and if it's true what they were talking about. Of course, that's kind of like what you were just talking about, being raised in South Memphis, and of course, your parents telling you to vote Democrat, but and like there's like an objectivity there. Like, hold up, but what about this? And they're like, no, we're not. Don't be objective about what we're telling you. You just listen to what we're saying, and you swallow what we're saying. You eat it up, and you swallow it, and you let what we're saying become your belief. Just vote Democrat because they're for black people. You know what I mean? And that whole thing about the party switching, yeah, that's a lie. I thought it was true. Which is why I went Democrat when I found out in the beginning of Obama's presidency. I thought it was true that the parties did switch, and that's not. Now, it's a trip how the parties switched in regards to skin color, but the parties didn't switch in regards to ideas.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Now, it kind of reminds me of there's a scripture in the Bible that says it's not flesh and blood we fighting against. It's principalities and everything
Mm-hmm.
that goes beyond the skin color. It's not skin color we're talking about. We're talking about ideas. So everyone who was supposed to be in the Republican Party, who was the black people, the African American folks, they ended up going to the Democratic Party and keeping the ideas. Now, because that's what we see first,
Mm-hmm.
which is the skin color, we think it switched. When the truth is, it never switched because the idea is still there. It's still there. With Planned Parenthood, the Me Too Act, everything. And plus, what's his name again? He was a good friend of Hillary. He was the senator of, I think it was South Carolina, who was part of the KKK.
Oh yeah.
His name starts with an R. I forgot his name.
Was it George Orwell? No,
something else. It's something else. But then, if you could look it up somewhere. So I'm on my phone with you. So my wife is editing some photos on our computer.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries.
But he got his position as a senator of South Carolina. I believe it was South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
He got that position because he joined the KKK. And he got that position back in 1950 something. And ever since, from 1956, I believe, to 2010, ever since he stayed senator. So 2010, this dude from the KKK, who was a Democrat, all the way to 2010, which was 8 years. That was 2 years.
Robert Byrd.
Yeah, there you go. That's his name, Robert Burns. All the way into 2010, into Obama's. That's 2 years into Obama's presidency, 2010. All the way to there, you had a KKK Democrat, ex-KKK Democrat, or he could be KKK, but because now they covered it up with other things. Mm-hmm. Democrat who passed away in 2010, and black folks has become a Democrat. Yet this dude who was part of the KKK is still. Now, my thing is, black folks, do you really want to join the same party as this guy? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like this dude is like, he's a Democrat. I know you want to be a Democrat, but this dude is a KKK member. Like, y'all really want to join? I know you don't know him. I know that you have no affiliation with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know that y'all probably live in another city. He probably lives on the East Coast. But y'all trying to join the same party as this dude. You know what I mean? Nah, bro. I ain't doing it. Nah, I ain't doing it. 2010. He passed away in 2010. That's so recent. That's recent, bro. That's like, bro, 2010, man. And you are ex-member of the KKK, Democrat, bro. Now, for me, as someone who's part black, who grew up in a black neighborhood, mm-hmm. That's offensive to me, man. That's like, bro, not offensive, but that's mind-boggling. I'm mind-blowing just by that. Like, what? Nah, can't do it. Can't do it.
It's something, man. When you start like looking into things like beyond the surface level, it's like how deep down that rabbit hole you go, your mind just opens up to so much stuff, man. Like the whole Black Lives Matter thing, and I'm gonna trigger some people talking about this, but
yeah, a lot of folks hold pride to that,
dude. Like, I remember when it first started getting going in like 2015, 2016, and then that whole Michael Brown thing, and and everyone was, I remember people posting up, oh, I'm scared to go outside and go down the street because the cop's gonna kill me and all this other stuff. And then I look into this further, and I don't know how down deep the rabbit hole you've gone, but the Black Lives Matter group is not an organically created group like they present themselves to be.
Right.
It's actually funded because they got $31 million from George Soros. Now he runs the Soros, the Open Society Foundation. He funds Black Lives Matter. He funds Antifa. He funds the feminist movement. He funds the what's that group? The one in California, La Raza. La Raza. He funds a lot of the groups that are in Europe. This dude's an ex. He's a Jew that turned in other Jews to be killed by the Nazis in World War II.
Right.
And it's like he's integral to Hillary, to Obama, to like all these people on the left. And I'm like, when I was trying to tell my friend who's super BLM, they're like, they wouldn't hear it. I gave him the dude's website. All of it's right there on the website. If you go to Open Society Foundation, it's right there. He funds Black Lives Matter. I showed it to him. They're like, I don't believe that. Like, there's an agenda. Even like the voting booths that people go to, he's the guy who supplies all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like all this information is right there on the website, but people are just so closed off to hearing anything other than what narrative is being thrown at them. It's
No, I feel you. It's Black Lives Matter, man. You know what I'm saying? They the one thing I love that's genius about George Soros is I love how he took how prideful Black people are about who they are, and he used that to his advantage. You know what I'm saying? Like he saw the pride, he saw how to where we have our own colleges, we have our own funding, in regards to scholarships. He took that and funded it. He funded it, and to where he formed Black Lives Matter. And it got to the point to where the people from Black Lives Matter who were Black started to realize, because slowly, man, there's a turn. There's a turn going on with the Black community to where a lot of them are starting to realize how messed up the Democratic Party is. And a lot of the Black folks from BLM, they're moving out of BLM. And now BLM is being ran by a lot of white folks. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, hold up, man, I could have sworn this a year ago. Y'all was full super Black, but now y'all white.
They got Sean King up in there, man. The whitest Black man.
Now, you see what I'm saying, though? You see what I'm saying about the idea that went, like they moved out the Black folks and brought in the white folks. Now, do we have the authority now to say Black Lives Matter switch? Like how they say the Democratic and the Republican Party switch? Well, can we say now BLM switch too then? Because now look, now y'all white now, so y'all switch too then. It's the idea. It's the idea, man. The idea stayed the same. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Man, I gotta ask you, man, because I know you see it out here, but why is it like out here in Hawaii? Why is victimhood mentality so rampant, man? You got people that are, and a lot of people watching and listening to this, unless y'all been out here or lived out here, you probably haven't seen how there's a lot of anti-white and there's anti-Black out here too.
Yeah, there is.
It's real bad, but they try to cover that up. But why is it like that, man? You got people that like the education's really bad out here. You got girls and guys like dropping out of middle school, dropping out of high school, hitting 23, 24 with like 5-6 different kids. Like, dude, what is going on?
It's a society thing, man. It's the way. Now Hawaii has been a blue state for the longest.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And when you take a look at what's happening in Hawaii, even though we're not as bad as the urban areas of Chicago, we still go through the same things they go through in regards to y'all basically took the Samoan community, the Hawaiian community, and y'all shoved them into the ghetto parts. Y'all like threw them all the way in Waianae. You know what I mean? Y'all threw them all the way in Papakalea, and if they are in town, y'all took them, the Filipinos, y'all took them and y'all threw them up in this up in Kalihi, you know, and so being that these places are so bad, like folks who are coming out of these places grow up with that victim mentality because they feel like there's no opportunity. They feel like it's. I don't blame them. It's how the society over here in Hawaii are raising the youngest. Like when you talk to someone from Kalani up in Hawaii Kai, or you even speak to a kid from Moana Loa, even to a kid up in Radford High School, and these are like the good schools. Like these are the schools, the public schools, but yet they still have a high morale about themselves. Other than Waianae, other than the Govs, Farrington, Castle High School, like those morales, man. These folks, they come out messed up, and I truly believe it's just the way the government officials of the state just it's how they have everything wrapped up, you know, and that's what I think it is. It's just how they wrapped everything up over here. But it also has to do with the families too, you know, and how, you know, the mom and dad, they have to get up out of the slums, and that's going to help their kids too. So that's what it is right there.
You know, and this, like, I look at, like, you know, the local girls I've dated from out here, like, based on where, because, you know, it's like you said, you know, geography, based on where they are from, also tells you a lot about their mindset. Like, you know, my wife's from another island, you know, she's from Molokai, and I'm used to dealing with, you know, Samoan or Hawaiian girls that, or even Filipino girls that, you know, they haven't even hit 25, got 2-3 kids, you know, baby daddy's names tatted on them, all this other stuff. I met my wife, you know, I've known my wife for like 10 years, but we never really knew each other like that until, you know, we started dating about 3 years ago. And the funny thing about that is, this, you know, when I linked up with her and I found out, oh, okay, you're the same age as me, you got no kids, never been married before, don't got none of these issues. I'm like, sway, what? What? You know, she's like, yeah, I don't have any kids. I've never been married. I'm like, are you serious? You know what I mean? Local girl. I'm not trying to rag on local girls or anything like that. You know, if you go up to the west side, you go to Waianae, how many local girls up there got baby daddies, you know, high school dropouts or middle school dropouts? And it's like, it's common. Like, it's just part of the culture. And then, you know, people in these type of demographics are the first ones to say there's no opportunities. But like, in the field of work I'm in, man, I see job openings left and right, but you don't have people qualified to take the job. So it's like when I hear people say it's hard to live out here in Hawaii, it's so expensive, jobs can't do it. But there are jobs that pay good enough, but people just ain't got the education, or not even the education, but the skill set and the qualifications to get the positions. It's just, it blows my mind, man.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's which is one of the reasons why. Now, in regards to the qualifications to get the position, that's one of the reasons why I opened up my own business. I used to run a quarry corporation downtown. We were couriers. We used to take paychecks from one escrow to the other escrow, and I was running that, and I used to see some things inside these escrow companies that blew my mind. And there was this girl who was a secretary. She was a pretty girl. She was a secretary. She went to school. While she was working there, she went to school. After 4 years of working there, she got her degree to become a loan officer. Behind this girl was another girl who just started the position. It was a Samoan girl, and her mom was the lead loan officer, right? And the girl who was the secretary, she was hoping to get a position under her mom, but her mom ended up hiring her daughter, who sat right behind her, who was not even qualified. And the girl who was a secretary, who was way more qualified than the Samoan girl who sat behind her, like, she ended up just staying as a secretary. She ended up quitting. And that's, I mean, in regards to that's just what I got to say about what you said in regards to people who aren't being qualified, who aren't qualified to get the positions that they're getting. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Who you know.
And that's what's happening in Hawaii. That's huge in Hawaii. That's huge.
And man, the other thing I wanted to touch on.
Well, I want to ask you a question.
I want to ask you a question.
What do you think about Bill Cosby's situation? All right, I'm gonna add to that. What do you think about Bill Cosby, Kavanaugh, and then what do you think about Bill Clinton?
Okay, so Kavanaugh. Nobody can corroborate the story of the women that have accused him of all these sexual acts. Now, that right there to me speaks volumes. If nobody can say and pinpoint him to anything, okay, plausible deniability, I get it. Cosby, love the show, love the character he portrayed, but I mean, everything's come out. And he's even admitted before he's done what he's done. As a person, that's fucked up. The legacy of his work, of trying to give a positive image for the black community with the Cosby Show and all that, I respect the hell out of him for that. But for what he did in his personal life, I don't respect that. That's fucked up. I just gotta keep it 100. But Bill Clinton, this dude got a track record. He's got a track record. And the funny thing is, when he was doing stuff with Monica Lewinsky and all these other female interns throughout his whole time, as president, and even after, and every time that Hillary ran, and he would be fucking around with some girl, and every time we saw him with a black eye, we know Hillary tuned his ass up every time he got caught with his dick in his hand.
That's crazy.
But he got a track record. People can corroborate that he was actually doing the stuff, and there's all these settlements from him actually having done stuff with different women. He's a fucked up individual. I mean, look at the most recent stuff with like the whole Ariana Grande thing. Look at how he's looking at her. I know you can see that, bro.
That was wild. That was wild. He's a nasty old man.
For real. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Man, with me, man, I mean, the way I look at it is, you got two bills, right? You got a Bill Cosby, and then you got a Bill Clinton. You got a white bill, and then you got a black bill. In regards to, once again, white privilege, it only exists in the Democratic mind. It only exists in the Democratic world.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton, they didn't do nothing. They even had the president of the United States, Trump, bring women who accused him on the actual the standoff with him and Hillary. Remember that, when Trump brought these women who he so-called raped, and sat down sat down across Bill Clinton, and that's another example of white privilege. And y'all got the black bill, but y'all not gonna touch the white bill. Y'all not gonna touch the white bill, and that's messed up. Now, in regards to Kavanaugh, if the Democratic Party is going to press on Kavanaugh the way they did, they should do the same thing to Bill Clinton. But
now, the biggest difference, though, like if you compare the two bills, Bill Cosby, even though he didn't really go open with it, he was conservative.
Right. But yeah, he was conservative too. But I'm talking about the white privilege in regards to who will go in and who will stay out. Okay, you know what? Yeah. Bill Cosby's going in, but then we're gonna go ahead and lay the white privilege on Bill Clinton. But man, that's what's up though. I'm glad Bill Cosby conservative. I knew he was conservative.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed about a lot of conservative actors and celebrities is they're quiet, man. They don't say nothing. They don't say nothing.
You can't you can't chance saying anything, because the minute you do, your career is done.
Yeah, you're right.
It's done.
Now, with Kavanaugh, what happened to Kavanaugh? A lot of folks say the message that they got from Kavanaugh, a lot of the Democrats, they said the message they got from Kavanaugh is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you rape, or like you're still going to make it. Type of the law will never be strong, or the law will never be strong enough to lock up rapists. That's what the Democratic Party say. That's the message that went across with Kavanaugh. You know what I'm saying? Or not lock you up, but then he still got that high position in the Supreme Court. Now, that's what they got with Kavanaugh. The message, the true message, I believe, that was passed to the generation to come is, if you messed up back when you were 17, you will never make it to the high places. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you messed up back in high school and you want that position to be a president, you'll never be president. That's the subliminal message that was really passed. It wasn't about him being accused. So a lot of the young folks who was watching it, who probably messed up last week or last month, now they have this thought in their head, I'll never be anybody now. You know what I'm saying? I done messed up and I was trying to get my life straight. But according to what happened to Kavanaugh, I'll never get that position. I'll never make it to that level. And that's the real message they want to pass out. And I think that's messed up. That's messed up.
You know, and it's like, you know, I think about like what you just said, and I've been thinking about this whole Kavanaugh situation. I'm like, man, what would happen to me if in 25, 30 something years from now, somebody pop up and be like, hey, Mekel, you remember that time you were up in Z Bar, or you were up in Play Bar, and you were turned up, and you know, you remember that girl that you went home with? You know? And it's like, I'm gonna be like, bro, you know how long ago that was? You know?
Right.
You know, it's like the whole thing, even like this whole I believe her movement. I'm over here, like, I know some super left people that were like, oh, I believe her. And I'm like, yo, what happened to due process? How is this man? How is Kavanaugh guilty before we even get any type of factual evidence, anything that corroborates him to being there, like any eyewitnesses? Like, what happened, you know, to due process? And they're like, well, he's guilty. Look at how he got emotional on the stand. Like, okay, if somebody called me a rapist and they're going after me hella hardcore like that, and they're going after my family, I'm sorry, all bets is off. Of course I'm gonna get upset.
And you know what's sad too was that it's our friends. It's the people who we know who are voicing out there, I believe her hashtag. You know what I mean? And just to see that they believe her, it gives you an understanding of where they are in their mind state. Like I even know some hardcore pastors. I even know some hardcore believers of the Christian faith who still side with Hillary. See, that's what I see too, man, in regards to this whole thing going on. Is it's a game of chess. That's what they're doing. After Trump was kinged, after he became king, it's the next move. You know what I'm saying? So the next move is what? Me Too. Why are you pushing Me Too? Because eventually, you know, once he becomes king, he has the authority to bring up a pawn so that the pawn can, you know, he has the authority to start moving his pawns. And all these movements, all these hashtags, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, they're playing chess. That's why I love Trump, because Trump is always 5 steps ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all released the Me Too movement. Maybe y'all released it because you guys are actually bringing up another movement called I Believe Her. So it looks like what's happening is the Democratic Party, they're pushing feminism, they're pushing women's rights. So they're trying to push the gender, but it's all messed up on their side. It's
Yep.
all messed up. So they're trying to push this whole gender about females, women, empowering women, which is cool. I believe that, but they ain't talking nothing about how Trump, one of the first generals that Trump raised up was a woman who was black. And Trump, he's big about women, but they ain't really talking about that. They're trying to push their agenda. They're playing chess with Trump, but Trump is always 5 steps ahead of these cats, man. And that's why I love Trump. I love Trump, man. He's dope. He's dope in my book. He's dope. A lot of the cats too. A lot of the cats from my generation, they get mad when they ask questions like, "Does Trump even know who Kanye is?" But I got to remind them, man, Trump, he was actually one of the first presidents to be featured on Wu-Tang's album.
Yep.
Like if you go back to Method Man's album number 6, to Cal 2000, Trump was on that album telling Method Man to release his album. And so what that tells me, Trump, he's very familiar with the boom bap hip hop. Like he knows what boom bap hip hop is. And I truly believe a lot of the quality in hip hop is going to get better because Trump is in office.
I mean, this current generation of hip hop, this mumble rap stuff, man, I can't jive with it.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. But you got to go back, man. I mean, Trump is the epitome of an American citizen. Yeah, and he's the epitome. I mean, this dude, he took a stone cold stunner.
Yep.
This dude, he took a stone cold stunner twice.
Yeah.
This dude had his own reality talk show. You know what I'm saying? This dude was on one of the classics, Home Alone. You know what I'm saying? This dude, he even clotheslined Vince McMahon.
Right.
You know? And I bet you today, if Tupac was alive, he'd be going for Trump. Yeah. Because a lot of folks, they bring up this interview about Pac talking about Trump, saying Trump, want to be like Trump. Trump is a gimme dude, but he never gives. That's Pac's interview when he was inside the studio. Mm-hmm. But see, that was the old Pac. The new Pac changed. Mm-hmm. The new Pac changed. How do I know? Because the new Pac changed because he started to learn more about business, and he mm-hmm. The old Pac was more of a victim back when he was in Oakland. The new Pac back in LA, he became more of a victor. And the way that I know that Tupac would have went for Trump, he would have been for Trump, is because folks was talking about how Pac was talking crap about Trump, but that wasn't true. Pac was just voicing out his view. On top of that, Trump is a huge role in why Mike Tyson became who he became. Because Trump and Tyson, they're like this. Trump mm-hmm. used to endorse Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So Trump and Tyson was like this. Tyson and Tupac were like this. As a matter of fact, the night Tupac died, Tupac was supposed to head out to Tyson's place. You know what I'm saying? So being that Trump and Tyson were close, Trump and Pac, they would have been close too. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not at that moment, or maybe they were. They just, it just wasn't all out in the open. But I'm just saying, things would have been different.
Yeah.
A lot of folks saying that Trump is using Kanye as a tool. How about what Hillary did? Hillary used Jay-Z and Beyonce. You know what I mean? So, hey, we 1 for 1 now. You got one, I got one. You know what I mean?
Right.
Come on now.
I couldn't believe they tried to go at Trump with Stormy Daniels. I'm like...
I don't even know what Stormy Daniels is. I saw it, though. I saw she lost. The judge dismissed it, but
yeah.
I mean, I know that she was a porn star or something like that, but
it kicked her career back off.
Well, all I gotta say is Trump, he's a billionaire, man. Cats, Trump, man, being that Trump got buildings in the United States, all over the world with his name on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he don't become president, that dude president of something. You know what I'm saying? If he ain't the president of the United States, that dude the president of something. This dude got buildings galore. Come on, man. Y'all hating huge.
Hey, man, I want to ask you, since we brought up feminists and, the SJW folks, I got to ask you, given we're both Samoan, Do you think that the SJW and this whole feminist narratives, you think that's going to have a negative effect on, our culture as not only Samoans, but on all of us Polynesians, especially given how family is integral to us. Yet for the left, and this SJW feminist thing, they hate the idea of family.
I'm sorry, man. I saw that. What is SJW?
And social justice warriors, like the soy boys and they get offended at everything.
Oh, okay. Now the feminist movement. In regards to that feminist movement, what are you talking about? Because it's like it's pretty much spread it out. But is there like a particular part of this movement you're talking about?
Like, because I know there's like 3 different waves of feminism. You had the first 2 that were for like equality and whatnot, and I dig that. I'm all for that.
I like equality.
This third one where they're trying to make it seem like there's absolutely no difference between men and women, and how women, they don't need to be mothers, they don't need to have families or get married or anything. This whole pushing, basically, it's kind of like a role reversal where they're trying to make women dominant and men submissive, like,
Right. You know what? Yeah, that right. You know what? I'm as a Samoan. I think I don't think it's going to impact this at all, our culture at all. One thing about Samoans is that we hold our position strong in regards to the family, and we've just been raised to be the providers as men, and the cook. We even cook too. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think it's going to fade us at all, though. But the Samoans in the U.S., like Carson, or some live in Georgia, Washington, San Francisco, on the West Coast, even Utah, Missouri, and Nevada, I think it might do something to them, but I don't think it's going to do anything huge to where it's noticeable. One thing though that I'm not in agreement with is in regards to our movement and what we're pushing is we should just be Americans. Don't call, you're not going to be an Asian American. You're not going to be a Samoan American. You're not going to be an African American. We're all just going to be Americans. And I dig that. That's dope. That's a great idea. I heard Trump push that a few times, but I disagree with that because I think our individualities is what you have to embrace. Because when you just call us Americans, we start to lose culture. You know what I'm saying? And when we lose culture, we start to forget who we are. And when we forget who we are, it kind of messes everything up because then we feel like y'all don't care. Y'all don't care about me being Samoan. Y'all don't care about me being black. You know what I'm saying? And it's because we kept on pushing this idea of, no, you're not black. You're American. Yeah, I'm American, of course, fool. But, I still have these individual parts in me, so I think that they should erase that and embrace our culture, and calling ourselves you're black, you're African American, you're Samoan American. You know what I'm saying? Say it like that. You know what I mean? If you're Mexican American, say it like that. And even if it's too long, too many syllables, say it like that. Because you're bringing up the individuality and you're embracing that.
Yeah. No, because I think about it, like when you look at other countries, like if you're in Japan, you're Japanese. If you're in China, you're Chinese, or Korea, you're Korean. Russia, you're Russian. It's because they have a collective culture. There's nothing that's really deep. I mean, yeah, you got some little things that may be different, like if you're in Japan versus Okinawa or something like that. But
right.
Whereas in America, there is no one overall culture.
Right.
We're everything. Yeah, So it's like, yeah, we can be American citizens, but at the same time, we still, we're like the melting pot.
Right. Like you have to embrace what I am first before an American. Yeah, I'm an American before I'm this, but you still got to embrace the fact that my roots, like, you know what I'm saying? You got to embrace that. Not that you got to embrace it, but it's healthy. It's healthy if you embrace it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you ignore it and you talk to me like I'm American, when the truth is I'm Puerto Rican. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm American, but then if you talking to me like I'm not Puerto Rican, you gonna get punched in the eye, homie. You know what I mean? And that's because you totally forgot I'm not Puerto Rican, homie. You know what I mean?
Oh man. So one of the other questions is probably my last one about Hawaii, but
I'm gonna bring up something real quick too
go
about
for
what I
it.
said.
Go
Real
for
quick about earlier we spoke about removing statues and everything because that erased the past. In Germany, they actually erased so much of what Hitler did that today in Germany, if you try to talk about Hitler, German society today would not acknowledge Hitler as if he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, and that's because they erased the past. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Like they erased so much of what happened that if you were to ask the society Hitler, they'd be like, I don't know, never heard of it. I never heard of it. Same thing. In the future Democratic Party, if you try to talk about slavery, I've never heard of it. I've never heard of it. That's why, man. Anyway, go ahead and answer your question. I just want to add that in there, right?
No, man, that was a nugget of truth right there. I appreciate that. No, I was gonna ask, like, because I know you see it out here. Like I see it every time I go past a park or I'm on my way to work or to the beach or to any of the malls. Dude, the homeless situation out here in Hawaii has just gotten
terrible.
Dude, what is going? Like, what do you think is going on? And I know they're hiding this from people who come here on vacation, but man,
it's terrible, man. It's what I think what's happening in Hawaii is I truly believe they're trying to move a lot of the local people, the majority of the local people out. They're either trying to move us to the west side or they're trying to move us to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I was up in Seattle a couple of months ago, and I seen what they do with their homeless. Right in Southside Seattle, right when you enter Seattle from Kent, there's a little area on the right side that has little homes for the homeless people, and that's dope. I like what they did, but Hawaii, man, I don't know what's going down. Did you see that new place they built off of Nimitz?
Yeah,
right
the one right. Yeah, I seen that.
What is that, man?
That's from what I heard, that's supposed to be the housing that they have for the homeless, and there's a program that they have to go through, a rehabilitation. They have to do something with some type of medications or whatever. Like there's a whole process for it, but you got a lot of homeless that just don't want to do it because you've seen how they shifted from they were over there at that campus, the UH campus over by UFC gym, and they migrated them, past that to further down Kaka'ako. They moved them down to where, the 7-Eleven up here on Kapiolani, where that one used to be. They shut that one down. That whole building, and you got nothing but homeless over there. They're just migrating further and further to like now they're over here where I live over by my condo, and it's like the park. I don't know if you've seen like King Street. That park by the bank of the First Hawaiian Bank.
First Hawaiian Bank, right across the baseball field.
Yo, that whole park shut down because there was nothing but homeless over there. It's insane, bro.
Yeah, Hawaii, man, they have a huge homeless problem, man. And I don't know. A lot of folks saying that a lot of the homeless people, man, they're also flying in from other states.
I heard about that too.
I don't know how true that is. It does make sense, you know what I'm saying. But on the same note, though, I can't call it. I seen that place though on the off of Nimitz, that little area right there, and that area, I give that area about another 10 years, and I can see that area growing. I can see it growing. I see a lot of Micronesian families coming out of that area, and I feel like, I just feel like that little area right there is, man, that's trouble right there. That's all trouble. And that looked like a democratic project anyways.
Just like the rail.
And when I say project, I mean it's a project. Like it's just a project. Like they're working on a project and they're gonna work on another project,
Yeah.
Just to see what you get.
All right, man.
Hey, man, just give you a heads up, man. My phone's about to die out.
Actually, man, we went through all the questions I had.
That's what's up, man. Thank you so much, man, for having me on the show, man.
Man, anytime, man. I got to get you back on. The audience enjoyed it. But go ahead, man. Plug your outlets and where people can find you.
Absolutely. You can find me on my website, liquidtherapymedia.com. That's if you want to talk Latinx and everything. Info at liquidtherapymedia.com. That's my email. On IG _liquidtherapymedia_, or you can find me on IG _luckyito_.
All right. And with that being said, everyone, I got the links, all his links in the description of this video and on this podcast, which will be up in a couple hours on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio, as well as coming soon to XM Radio and Sirius FM. And with that being said, Bless, thank you so much for being on the show, man. It's been such an honor having you on. I know we've been trying to get this going for a while, brother.
Right.
Man, this has been a blast. We definitely got to chop it up again, man.
I'm with it, man. Thank you so much, Kasanova, man. I appreciate you.
All right, and people, with that being said, we'll catch you on the next one. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, and just get this out, man. Let's get this going viral, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes.